Hello again. I'll be talking to you guys today about the fighter class and just some useful information from character creation, subclasses, and level up choices to just kind of overall gameplay of this class. So let's dive in. Fighters are one of the more classic martial classes to me, honestly, in D&D, or just in general when it comes to fantasy settings. They can almost, or they can use almost any kind of weapon. Strength would be a fighter's primary attribute. They are proficient in strength and constitution saving throws, and they can be proficient in acrobatics, animal handling, athletics, history, insight, intimidation, perception, survival skills. Like they're they're pretty much they have a lot of different skills that they can dive into. Their hit dice is a D10. They can use simple weapons, martial weapons, all the kinds of armor, so light, medium, heavy, in addition to shields. From a race perspective, I'm just taking my half orc here, and I use withers to change his class, but I always kind of keep tending to recommend elf and half elves for things. Mostly for this because you gain dark vision, you gain the Fey ancestry portions, to where like you get different magics and things to kind of go with you. So if you want to go like kind of magic based, um, as your with your subclass of an Eldritch Knight, that might be something to kind of choose with. Humans, Dragonborn, these kind of classes are always kind of nice to, or classes, races are always good to use, because with a Dragonborn you get their breath weapon, but I'd also recommend half orcs just because they do an extra dice of damage when they crit, and they also have an inherent ability that when they drop to 0 HP, they come back with 1. They can use that once per long rest. So when you're getting hit, you get down, you can just come right back up. Also, when you crit, you do more damage, which everyone loves doing more damage. Um, if you go with a half orc, I'd recommend going probably with a champion bar fighter because they get at one point rather than it being a 20 to crit, you can crit on 19. So it increases your chances of being able to score a critical hit. From an attribute standpoint, it really depends on what you want to try and roll with. If you want to be more of a strength-based fighter, because a fighter can be both either strength or dex based, just because you can use rapiers, you could be a full-on archer as a fighter. If you're gonna go for more of a ranged fighting style with a bow of any kind, I'd almost recommend instead being a ranger, just because some of the better benefits you get for that, or multi-classing a fighter into a ranger, so that you can get those benefits of just being a ranger. There's a lot of different things you gain, just from that kind of class. But from a strength-based class for this, um, let's see, we don't really need a lot of wisdom. We're not really going to be that kind of person in the game. Let's see here. If you wanted to round out your skills, or even up your skills, I guess would be not really round it. Well, some people say round out because you get the bonuses. Others say even out. Tomato, tomato. But by doing this, by taking, instead of having 17 strength, I'm able to make myself have 14 dexterity. So that then at the end of the day, I have a +3 to strength, a +2 to dex, a +3 to con, zeros to my wisdom, and charisma is my junk stat, because charisma as a fighter, like, I'm probably not going to be the one you want talking to people. I'm more of the one you want, smashing people's faces in. So if you want to do like a strength-based fighter, this could be beneficial. You could always take a point out of your constitution and put it back into strength, so that you have 17 strength, through being able to, as you level up at like levels 4 and at levels 4 and 6 as a fighter, you gain a feat or an attribute. So potentially by level 6, you could have, in that case, 20 strength. You could also do the same thing as well by just actually I take that back. Let's do this. 16, 14, 16. Because by level 6 you would have been able to put 2 points into strength at levels 4 and 6, making this 20, giving you a plus 5, sorry, to your strength based thing. So by level 6 you've maxed out your strength, which is always fun. The problem with this to me is that your dex, yes and no. I mean, it's not really a problem. Most armor it only allows you to add up to two of your bonus for your dexterity to the armor. So what I mean by that is if you have a set of medium armor, usually your armor class is something trivial like 15 plus 2 of your dexterity. So most things are a 2. Some are a 3 if you go for some of the feats that give you that ability to let you add up to 3 dexterity. So 14 should be sufficient for most armor we're going to have. With this, if we had plate mail, plate mail doesn't even take dexterity into account if you want super heavy armor. Like you have 18 AC, pop a shield on, now you have 20 AC, so dexterity is kind of not overly needed from an armor perspective. But you still want to have decent dexterity because dexterity saving throws are basically, I don't know, 60%, 70% of what you're probably going to run into from spells. Intelligence and wisdom saving throws are more for like a few select spells, like for controlling you and things, but if you take different races, you can counteract this to have advantage on that already, or not even be charmed. So it really depends on what kind of options you pick from that race perspective. But if you want to be more of a strength-based fighter, this is something that I would probably recommend for those reasonings. If you want to be more of a dex-based fighter, I would say then drop this. No. Make this. Take my bonus off this. Put it here. Do I not have any more points? I don't. So you drop this down to 12. So that gives you a +1. That way you still at least have some strength-based stats for a lot of your strength-based skills. Let's see here. What would I do? I'm trying to round off a couple things here. Let's see. I can't add it there. 10, 12. Just sucks because I have this one that's chilling out here. Let's do this. No, we don't care about that. Let's just do that. From a dexterity-based build, if you want to be more of a dex-based fighter, kind of max this out. The other thing we could do is drop our wisdom down to 10 so that we can make this 17. That would be another possibility, so that you can max out your dex faster. Same thing with the strength. You could always make 17 strength, so you could max that out faster. From the perspective of if you want to be an Eldritch Knight, which is a subclass that I'll talk about here shortly, you'd want to have decent strength and also decent intelligence. And the reason for this is because intelligence as an Eldritch Knight is your spellcasting modifier, so we'd want this higher so that we can get higher DCs for our spells. Let's just I'd say max out your strength as much as you can. Same thing with con. I usually try to round these out to 0 or 10s first, so it's a +0 to things. Let's see here. I can take rid of this, put it in con. You won't have much of a bonus to your armor class off the bat if we do this. Let's see here. Don't care about that at the moment. I care more about this. You could do this, and then when you hit level 4 and get your first bonus, you can take a feat that increases your intelligence. That'll make this 16. And then you're pretty well rounded out to where you're at least getting some bonuses to your armor class from all this. But I'm going to roll with what I did earlier. I'm just going to say use recommended. Get rid of this. Put it here. I don't care. Do this. There. Also at level 1, you gain a fighting style. So a fighting style is, it just adds bonuses to things you can do from a fighting perspective. So archery, if you want to be more of a range fighter, you would choose this because it gives you a +2 to range attacks. Defense gives you a +1 to armor class while you're wearing armor. So as long as you're wearing armor, you automatically get a +1 to it. If you are wielding a melee weapon in one hand, if you're wielding a weapon in one hand with nothing else in your other hand, you get a +2 to damage. Great weapon fighting is if you're rolling a two-handed weapon, like what I am here. I have the great sword you can get from the tutorial level. Protection, if you're wearing a shield, you can impose disadvantage on attacks for any attacks against your allies as long as you're within the range of them. And then two-weapon fighting lets you make a offhanded weapon attack and add your ability modifier to it. So if you're using a dexterity-based weapon, it would add your dex bonus. If you're using a strength-based weapon, it adds your strength to it. And this fighting style goes hand in hand with there's a feat for dueling that I talk about in the feats video that lets you just go to town and having a really fun time being a two-handed fighter.
I've got a long road ahead.
At level 2, we gain some extra abilities. We gain, it's called Action Surge. And what Action Surge does, in addition to gaining health every level, Action Surge immediately lets us take an extra action this turn. So let's say you just use your attack action and you really, the boss is almost dead and you want to get the glory kill of killing it. Use your Action Surge and now you get basically another action to do as you wish. At level 3, we gain our subclass. So there's 3 subclasses to choose from: Battlemaster, Eldritch Knight, and Champion. I'll start with Eldritch Knight, Battlemaster. So at level 3, here you gain your Battlemaster ability, and you get these things called superiority dice, which they start as D8s. As D8s, you have 4 of them to start. At higher levels, they become D10s. And these things fuel your maneuvers that you are able to use as a Battle Master, and you can regain these after a short or long rest. So when you use one of your maneuvers, you'll use one of your dice in association with it or in unison with it, if you will. But at level 3, we're able to pick 3 maneuvers from this list here. Commander Strike lets you use an action or reaction to direct the enemy's strike. So and then an ally can immediately use their reaction to make an attack against them. So let's say something's about to attack you. You use your commanding strike to redirect that, and your ally can make an attack against them. Disarming Strike, you spend one of those superiority dice to make an attack that deals that dice's damage and possibly forces an enemy to drop their weapon. Distracting Strike, distract your target and give your allies advantage on the next attack roll against them. Evasive Footwork lets you give disadvantage on melee attacks, or give you all attacks against you have disadvantage for the next round. Fainting Attack, you spend a dice to use your action and bonus action to turn your attacks to have advantage. So basically you give Basically, you can turn to attack something and you get advantage on the attack. Goading attack, spend a dice again to deal 1d8 damage. The target then has disadvantage on attack rolls unless they're attacking you. So let's say you have your friend next to you. You do a goading attack. If that enemy attacks them, it's automatically going to be at disadvantage. So goading is a really nice thing to kind of like help keep friends alive. Maneuvering attack, you spend a superiority dice to deal damage from that dice, but also you select an ally that will gain half of its movement speed and not provoke attacks of opportunity to try and get out of danger. Menacing attack, you spend a superiority dice and deal that dice's damage, but also you have a possibility to frighten the target that you're attacking. Precision attack, spend a superiority dice, deal the damage from it, but also, instead of dealing the damage from it, you add it to your attack roll. So this would be a very cool thing to kind of mix in if you had a feat like Great Weapon Fighter, where you can, Great Weapon Master, where it subtracts 5 from your attack roll, and then adds 10 damage. So if you were to use that feat in addition to precision attack, you can add a d8 to your attack, possibly negating that -5. So it's a cool little thing to kind of mix in together if that's how you've been built, if that's how you decide to build your fighter. Pushing attack, roll a superiority dice and deal that damage against them, and then possibly push them back 4.5 meters. Rally, you spend a superiority dice. You spend one of your dice and add that as temporary HP. Riposte, when an attack misses you, you can spend your dice to deal it as damage instead to them. Basically, just kind of think of it as like a parry/attack response. Sweeping attack, you can attack multiple enemies that are in an arc, spending your superiority dice and dealing that damage to them. Think of this as like a cleave action from like Diablo, for example. Trip attack, spend a superiority dice and deal an additional, deal that damage and possibly make the target go prone. So from all these, there's a lot of nice ones to kind of use. I personally like Rally. Precision attack is always good for the reasons I mentioned. Riposte is great because if something misses you, you can turn around and just whack them as a free reaction attack. So these are a lot of really nice things. I'm going to grab this. Precision. And sweeping. Oh, I didn't want to level up. Crap. I did something wrong.
Fate.
Dost thou require as thou desire?
In short, if you talk to Withers, you can reset your class. So let me reset myself back to a level 3 fighter. Apologize for that. I got in the moment of I hit the let's move forward button. Alright, so at level 3 I've gained my maneuvers. I might just repick those here. But at level 7 as a Battle Master, we gain an additional superiority dice, and we can choose 2 more abilities from that maneuvers list that we haven't already chosen. So if I was level 7, I'd be able to pick any of these other options I haven't already picked. At level 10, our superiority dice become a D10, and at level 11, we can choose again another 2 more items from this list. So overall, you'll be able to get 7 maneuvers off of this list. So that's just something to kind of keep in mind as you're leveling up through the game. Eldritch Knights, they are basically, I call them more or less like a battle mage. Like if you remember battle mages from other games and just lore and things of that nature. These are folks that can deal melee damage, but also can deal spell damage as well. So you're kind of becoming a little bit mad for say, or having multiple attributes to distribute through things. But because at the end of the day, as a fighter, you want high strength, high constitution, and also as an Eldritch Knight, you're going to want decent intelligence. I will say that there are things in the game that you can use to your advantage. Like, so for example, there is this headband of intellect that you can get from, there's a group of ogres in the goblin town, like at the very beginning of the game, right past the grove. Once you get past there, you find these guys, and you can either attack them or have them help your side. But when they come and help you, if they die, you can loot their body, and you can take this item off of one of them, which makes your intelligence score 17. And a lot of this happens around the time you're around level 3, give or take, maybe level 4. You could, if you really wanted to, make intelligence your dump stat in that point if your goal is to push for that and get that intelligence span, so that then it makes your intelligence 17. So it could be 8 at the moment, and as soon as you put on that headband, you have 17 intelligence. So like the only crippling of this that you're getting is that your DC is only ever going to be like, you only get a bonus of 3 to it, but you'd be able to distribute all those other attribute points to have higher intelligence, wisdom, charisma, strength, you name it. Like you could just have more stats and just make intelligence your dump stat if you plan on trying to get this. So like that would be one build option. Honestly, I would recommend. It's pretty cool. But as an Eldritch Knight, you gain the ability to cast some spells. When you start, you can gain 2 cantrips from the cantrip list that they provide. Most of these are just your basic cantrips that pretty much every class has, or spellcasting class has, I should say. I usually like Shocking Grasp and Firebolt because I don't have access to Eldritch Blast, which is similar to Firebolt but not quite the same. But you start with 2 cantrips and 2 level 1 spells. Burning Hands and Witch Bolt I like. Mage Armor is nice if you wanted to cast it for people. Magic Missile, a staple for things. Chromatic Orb is probably the most damage dealing one of this list with 3d8 damage. Shield lets your armor class go up by 5. The downside is it costs concentration. So as you're being attacked, there's a high chance if your con's not high enough, you're gonna lose this. Oops, my mouse keeps moving. It has a mind of its own. Never mind, it does not have concentration. But basically, as a reaction, your armor class goes up by 5. So you could have an AC of like 25 in a battle if you were to do this. Also, because you're an Eldritch Knight, you get to add, in addition to those 2 spells, you get to add a spell from the Wizard level 1 spell list. So I would say, I can grab Shield because I didn't grab Shield before. At level 7, you gain what's called War Magic, which allows you to cast a cantrip, and you can make a weapon attack as a bonus action. So basically, or after you cast a cantrip, you can make a weapon attack as a bonus action. So I could cast Firebolt and use my bonus action to still swing my sword. At level 10, you'd gain Eldritch Strike, which when you hit a creature with a weapon attack, it now has disadvantage on saving throws against the next spell you cast before your next turn ends. So basically, you hit it, and as long as you hit them with a spell before the end of your next turn, they'd have disadvantage on that saving throw. I will say that as a Eldritch Knight, you don't gain you don't gain higher level spells. Your spell list amount is fairly low. When I've played these characters, at least in D&D, I've always went high cantrips because cantrips are they're just part of a balanced attack breakfast, if you will. There are ways at like level 4 when you pick a feat, you can pick a Mage Initiate as your feat, and you can dive into the Warlock class so that you can get things like Booming Blade, Green Flame Blade, things of those nature, because those two, they're cantrips, air quote, but they require a melee attack to go with it. So you're going to do the damage from your sword or weapon in addition to the additional damages from those cantrips. Like Booming Blade lets you deal D8 thunder damage, and Green Flame Blade does the same thing, but it has a couple extra benefits to it. Look them up. They're great things, honestly, to add to your Eldritch Knight list of cool things you can do. At level 3, you can also choose a champion. And a champion at level 3 basically lets you get this improved critical hit ability that basically you crit on 19s instead of 20s. At level 7, you'd gain Remarkable Athlete, which gives you proficiency in jump, and your jump distance is increased by 3 meters. And you can add half your proficiency bonus, to your strength, dex, and con checks that you're already not proficient in. If you're not already proficient, And at level 10, you can gain another fighting style if you, off of the list that we provided here at level 2, and you'd be able to choose, let's say I picked archery my first time and I picked defense the second time. So champions, you don't get many bonuses to your subclass other than you can crit on a 19, which sounds not that impressive, but it's pretty impressive, honestly, because it gives you a higher chance of trying to crit. Eldritch Knight, if you want to mix in some spells and become like a Battle Master, I'd recommend them. The downside, like I mentioned, is the fact that you have to have decent intelligence in addition to con and strength and whatnot. Battle Master gives you, instead of giving you that crit bonus like you get as a champion, you have some other cool things in your arsenal to just kind of turn the tides of the battle, which are always a good thing to do. At level 4 as a fighter, we gain a feat, or the ability to increase our attributes. At level 5, we would gain extra attack, so we can basically do another attack during our attack actions. At level 6, we gain another feat or attribute bonus. Level 8, we get another feat or attribute bonus. Level 9, you gain Indomitable, which when you fail a saving throw, you can roll it again and use the new result. At level 11, you get improved extra attack, so now you can attack 3 times in total during your attack action. And at level 12, you gain a feat or attribute. So the high point of a fighter is really level 3. That's really where a lot of your path is going to be. But from there, it's really, okay, I picked Battle Master, I have some cool things I can do during battle. I'm a Eldritch Knight, I can use my spells to do cool things. Or if I pick Champion, you can just crit easier. So fighters are really nifty people. Let's say I picked 2-weapon fighting earlier. I would probably pick dual wield if I'm going down that road of I want to be able to wield two long swords and have even more attacks. So like you have your attacks as your attack action with your regular arm, with your primary hand, and then as a bonus action you can make another attack. So in theory you can start getting 4 attacks or 3 attacks at earlier points. You also gain 1 to your AC while having 2 weapons. You can't wield like heavy axes, but you can have 2 long swords. That's 2 d8s doing things, or 2 rapiers because of their finesse. Like, this lets you do like, instead of doing with just light weapons, which would be like a short sword, you'd be able to now, like I said, use long swords, which would be pretty fun. I also forgot to mention that at level 1 you gain Second Wind, which allows you to heal yourself for 1d10 plus your fighter level. So now that I'm level 4 fighter, it gives me a +4. Yeah, that's pretty much the gist of it for a fighter. If you wanted to multi-class into something, I mean, Ranger comes to mind, Warlocks. Rogue, maybe Barbarian potentially, because as a Barbarian, you'd be able to rage as long as you're not doing heavy armor. You'd be pretty much okay. You just wouldn't be able to gain the benefits from like unarmored defense and whatnot. But as always, if there is anything that I missed or you'd like to add from your own experiences while playing this class, feel free to let me know in the comments below. And as always, enjoy your time in the game.